The AUKUS Defence Pact will see South Australia manufacture the country's fleet of 8 new nuclear-powered submarines. While Port Kembla is shaping up as the preferred site for an East Coast base, the Nationals MPs in Central Queensland want their region to be considered to host the subs.
And it would generate billions for the economy in support industries, engineering, education and everything that would be attached to those facilities.
With more, joining us live now is the LNP and Shadow Assistant Minister for Manufacturing, Michelle Landry. Michelle, really appreciate your time. Thanks so much. Why do you think that Central Queensland would be suitable, Michelle? What's your pitch?
Look, we think it's the prime place to have it. We've got Gladstone Harbour, which is quite a deep harbour, and there's a lot of industry there already. We've got Port Alma, where a lot of the munitions come in and out. And then just a bit further up the road, past Rockhampton, we've got Shellwater Bay, which is the largest training facility in the Southern Hemisphere. So we've been having a lot of chats with the mayors in the area, and we all want more military facilities there. And we just think that, you know, we're here down in New South Wales. Some of the Labor and the unions don't want the submarines down there. Well, we would welcome them up in Central Queensland.
This time yesterday, I interviewed the former Foreign Minister, Bob Carr. He was warning that the AUKUS deal could make Australian bases a surrogate nuclear target in the event of a conflict. Do you think residents of Central Queensland would want to take on that risk?
Well, when we have been talking to the experts, they say that Central Queensland would be out of range if there were any missiles fired into Australia. So it's probably safer in Central Queensland than in some of the northern areas. And, you know, if you're spending hundreds of billions of dollars on submarines, you want them protected. That's for certain. So I think that our region would be the prime place. And I mean, this is early days. We're talking about it. We've had discussions previously with Peter Dutton and Andrew, not about the submarines, but about further military facilities in the area. And we just believe it's the right place. And with Shellwater Bay, it's massive up there now. We have so many different countries. The Singaporeans have put over $1 billion into further infrastructure for the area. Australian Defence, a couple of $100 million. So we have lots of exercises there already. And we just feel that this would be the prime place to actually have the submarines.
I do want to ask you about the top issue here of the day. We've just heard from the Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese. We've finally had the wording of the questions surrounding the voice, the referendum, laid out to us, with a lot of the mechanics, the workings of this laid out in detail as well. I know that you've made it clear that you will be personally voting against the voice. Did you listen to that news conference with the Prime Minister earlier and start to wonder if you might be on the wrong side of history here? It was a pretty powerful, persuasive performance.
Oh, look, I listened to part of it, but I'm still will be voting no. And, you know, that's all very well having a powerful media performance, but, you know, the people in these areas are just in dire straits. And I was questioned about this up in Central Queensland recently, and you know, people were just outraged by the whole thing. We've done a survey recently, over 60% of people in my electorate are voting no against it. And as I keep on saying, when I was this Assistant Minister in the last government, and we did a lot of trips up to the Northern Territory, you know, the poverty, the sexual assaults, the kids out in the streets because they've got nowhere else to go, that they feel it's safer with breaking and entering and smoking and, you know, sniffing glue and all the rest of it. I just think it's appalling, and I just don't believe in the voice. I think that we've got elected representatives here in the Parliament, and I just think it's going to cause more problems. You know, we see up in Central Queensland at the Bravas mine site that there's been an Indigenous group that's been camped there for over 18 months, and they've actually been making threats to the workers there. Indigenous workers pulled one out of the car, been threatening them with spears, and I've had the same thing done to myself at a smoking ceremony. My staff and myself were threatened with spears and told to get off their land. So I just think that this is just going to cause more problems. I think that we need to work together, but I don't believe that the voice is the way to do it.
What's your expectation as to where Peter Dutton will be landing on this?
oh, well, that's up to Peter Dutton to decide. And the Liberal Party, the National Party, has made it very clear where we stand.
You said that when you're speaking to voters in Central Queensland that they're outraged by this concept. What is it that's so offensive about it? What are people saying to you about why they would be outraged?
Well, people believe that we already have 11 Indigenous representatives in the Parliament, and they think that they're elected by the people. This group will be, I don't know who, they're being elected by the government, I would imagine, but they're not elected representatives. They're not representing all of the people. And you know, it's a whole different ballgame when you get to regional Australia than in the cities, and you just see the despair of these people there, the poverty that we see, the sexual assaults that we see, the dreadful stories. And, you know, I just don't believe that having a voice in Parliament is going to resolve it. I think the issues need to be resolved by making decisions right across the sector and getting in there into communities and helping at the family level, because what's happened now, and hundreds of millions, billions of dollars have been spent on this and it hasn't worked.
Michelle Landry, really appreciate you joining us with your insights and views. Thank you for that. And we will be hearing more from the Nationals on that issue very shortly in a news conference as well. And waiting to hear from the opposition leader, Peter Dutton, to respond to that news conference earlier too. So plenty more coming up on that issue. Michelle, appreciate your time. Thanks a lot.
My pleasure. Thank you. Thank you.